How are we doing, everybody? I am Jeff Hoke here with Chris Henrique, Kevin Perdios, and our friend Diego from Couch Guy Sports. This is episode 12 of Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast brought to you by Couch Guy Sports and Shocked Energy. It is our last episode of 2021, our holiday episode, as Chris is dressed very festive up in here today with his flashing little jacket up in there. He went from the gold jacket to the Christmas tree jacket, which is there nothing wrong with on that aspect of things. Before we get started, though, Shocked Energy is ever feel tired or unable to focus, tired and low on energy. We understand that feeling. We understand so well that Shorthanded Takes, a Boston Bruins podcast, is brought to you by the Couch Guy Sports Network and sponsored by our friends over at Shocked Energy. Head over to shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off. That's CGSN today for 10% off your order. It's the holiday season, guys. You still got a chance. They ship worldwide. If you want to get something for your family, friends, get Shocked Energy. Diego's had it before. He can give you a fantastic review on it. But holiday season is upon us, so make sure you go out and get your family a gift. And if you want to get them a good gift, Shocked Energy is the gift to go with. So before we get going, we invited Diego here today for a quick 10-minute segment because he wanted to rant. And when Diego wants to rant, we let Diego rant. I'm going to hand this off to Chris because Chris knows exactly what he wants to rant about. I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to kick back and watch this to see what happens. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Chris, this is all you.
So I'm not sure if the world knows, but earlier this week, WEEI, the Greg Hill show, tweeted.
Oh, this is what you want blood for. Okay.
That Bruce Cassidy lost the dressing room in Boston, and that the captain, Patrice Bergeron, was yelling at his coach and defending Matt Grzelcyk, who Bruce Cassidy allegedly yelled at in front of the team. Now, this comes on the heels of the same show, the Greg Hill show, who had Mike Milbury on, I believe, was it last week? And Mike Milbury had a handful of things that he had to say, including that the Bruins should trade Patrice Bergeron and or potentially Brad Marchand. So Diego was a little upset in regards to the Greg show and their tweet, which prompted a little discussion via text. So Diego, what had you all upset about that tweet from the Greg Hill show?
Everything. From the first sentence to the last grammatical usage of a period used in that tweet. Everything about it. Absolutely everything. If you look at the people that are tagged, if you look at what is said, you look at the verbatim behind it, it's just stereotypical, trashy Boston sports media with nothing better to do than cause unnecessary drama to a team that's already going through hell and back. Nevertheless, on a team that's also dealing with a league outbreak of something far more serious than this BS behavior that these guys are thinking that they can go ahead and pull a story on and hope that everyone just follows along and sticks with it. So from the second I saw this tweet, I know what my response was on Twitter. If you follow me on Twitter, just know that it's not PG-13. I'm 30, so therefore I'm not keeping a PG-13. So read at your leisure. You've been warned. That's all.
Well, I mean, if you look at the tweet, so
you can read it out on here. You want this is explicit content on this show, so it's fine.
Well, if you look at the tweet, right? So it says breaking: Bruce Cassidy has lost the dressing room. Bergeron yelled at his coach for yelling at Matt Grzelcyk in front of the team per Greg Hill. And then he goes and tags Pierre LeBrun, Peter Gaines, Haggerty, Wayne Gretzky.
The first gentleman.
Michael Ruzioni, USA Hockey, Sean Thornton.
Shaq, the second gentleman.
Mutt from WEEI.
Just a lot of random people.
So here's my deal with it, right? So at first,
as you forgot, it's keep it neutral. Also, Doug Emhoff, the second gentleman. Just recognize that.
Yes, that is
That's all.
true.
Thank you.
So at first when I saw that, because I had happened to listen the week before to that Milbury interview live. I was on my way to work. I was in the drive-thru getting a coffee, and I was kind of like taken back listening to that, and then this now comes on the piggyback of that. So what it looked like to me is you have the Greg Hill show, who just had Mike Milbury on, and him saying that the Bruins should trade Patrice Bergeron. And then the week later, now you're saying that the locker room is lost. Then if you start to look around, no one had it. No one had it. None of the local guys other than Ty Anderson had a tweet, but he really just didn't directly say it was truthful, but he was talking about the tweet. Then Felger and Maz, who run with anything, and they've openly admitted that they run with anything. The fact that they took, their rival across the street, so to speak, and, ran with it on their show. Oh, and on Boston Sports tonight on NBC Boston last night, they had it too. It was almost like they wanted there to be legs around it. And there wasn't any. And I know, one of the things that Diego was saying is that there should have been some sort of audio, and which would have been great, but I don't think you're going to have that audio, especially when it's coming from the locker room. The only thing that was, that I was a little taken back with, though, is that no one on the team really disputed it, though. So it kind of I'm on the fence with it. Now, I did talk to someone, and I'll leave it as an unnamed source, and this person said that there is absolutely no validity to what happened and what the tweet was about. But I did ask, and I said, well, how come no one on the team is saying anything about it, or just strictly trying to defend it and squashing it? And basically it's because they think that it's bullshit and why waste their time.
Which honestly, so let's take it back a step here, right? This is the same exact show that, as you mentioned, had somebody with the audacity to think that we should trade Patrice Bergeron. The same exact person questioned Patrice Bergeron's heart to this team, right? His devotion to his team, and actually wanted to be.
I went on that rant about Patrice Bergeron when Maserati.
I know you did. And that's why I am perplexed at the fact that you yourself, you actually responded to me saying, well, the Greg Hill report was right about Bergeron. No, they weren't. You don't question the legitimacy of a heart of somebody who has given their whole career to an organization, has won a Stanley Cup with this organization, and through the ups and downs, he's never even questioned leaving Boston to begin with. Never one time. And he's had plenty of opportunities, at least 3 to 4 opportunities ever since signing for the Boston Bruins. Secondary to that, if you are leaking a story of this magnitude, right, involving the locker room, in this day and age, if you have that type of source should also have video footage or audio footage. It's like when you go and see, when you go to Walmart on Black Friday and you see a fight, what is the first response that you have? You pull out your phone, you start taking a video, and you're like, oh shit, this happened at Walmart. And you post it all over fucking social media. Pardon my French, but it's the same exact thing that Greg Hill show should have done. Third to that is the people that I somewhat have respect. Somebody like Ty Anderson from 98.5 goes on there and is following along to this report. And I'm saying to myself, dude, as it is, the 98.5 Sports Hub is one of the most untrustworthy sources there is when it comes to Boston sports media. Your legitimacy is so questioned left and right, and yet people tune in to listen to you to hope that somewhat of truth and validity is there. And now you're reporting this. You just tarnished a really good reputation that you had, because personally, to me, I respected the guy. But with this report, there's no sense of respecting somebody that's just going to continue to publish fake news. Third to that is, if it's something of this magnitude, you don't think that this would have gotten national media attraction? You don't think that somebody like Pierre LeBrun, all these other sources that he tagged, right, would have had it. And fourth to that is how ridiculous and how absolutely lacking of brain cells, never mind ignorant, indecent, and everything else that falls in line with this magnitude stupidity that this tweet has, to tag people that have nothing to do with it. Shag, second gentleman. Dude, why don't you just tag Jesus from Twitter as well? You might have just tagged them to hope that
they didn't.
To hope that your sources were somewhat truthful. And like fifth to that is just, again, no legitimacy. Nobody confirmed it. Absolute jack shit. Obviously, you're not going to get a response from the team because you know what? They're dealing with something a lot deeper than this. They're dealing with a season that has been problematic right from the get-go, that they're trying to find their rhythm. They're trying to turn their season around. And on top of that, they're dealing with a COVID outbreak happening in the whole entire league. We just saw the Calgary Flames game get postponed. The Boston Bruins game should have been postponed. If it hasn't been postponed, I haven't been on Twitter.
It has
so
not.
I don't know.
They're playing right now. They're losing.
I don't know
right now.
Oh, great. I didn't know as of this recording. So I was hoping that it would be postponed considering the amount of cases. But I mean, for Christ's sakes, you would really think that a Boston-based media source would really focus on bringing, neutrality and focus around Boston sports teams rather than just negativity and stirring the pot. If Bruce Cassidy was really somebody of question, Bruce Cassidy is only a person of question because Don Sweeney is actually a person of question, because Don Sweeney hasn't given the right tools to this team to be able to be competitive, because Don Sweeney hasn't really bothered in signing people that will actually, power this team up a little bit. Yeah, we got Taylor Hall and we got Linus Ullmark. Like, the least of our worries right now is a goalie. It's the least of our worries. All three goalies are solid. And with Tuukka Rask coming back, I'm excited for him coming back. It's probably an unnecessary evil at that point, because now you're going to have a huge issue at the position, because all three of them are starters in my eyes. But aside of that, defensively, Forward's an absolute trailer trash bag. And don't even get me started in Studnicka, because the guy was pretty much a failed project. So I just, looking at this whole entire report, I'll tell you this. If I were deeper in Boston sports media, you could have seen a video leaked all over social media of me punching the living daylights of this absolute moron. And I'm not a physical person by any means, but this is somebody that deserves to be knocked out and get every fucking tooth out of his mouth ripped one by one. Absolutely. Because this is just pure idiocracy, pure lack of brain cells. Just basically, he just trashed his whole career with this whole entire report.
Yep.
This is just as bad as Mark Cordero asking that question to Bill Belichick and getting the answer that he got from Bill Belichick, which was more like, dude, how are you employed? Even better, why you exist.
Oh, vey.
So just thinking about it, even better, just tagging Sean Thornton. He's even lucky that Sean Thornton didn't go over there and beat his ass. I would have. If I was Sean Thornton, I would have. I absolutely would have. Somebody that lives for that locker room, you don't think Thornton would have absolutely...
he would have beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, if he had the opportunity, he would have.
So before I close the book on this and we move on, I know Kevin wants to say something about this, so I'm going to let Kevin take the floor for a second before we move on to the next pressing case. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, you guys can hear me all right, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll if you guys are wrong. Like, if this is a false report. It's you shouldn't try to make a story like that out of nothing, right? You shouldn't try to brainstorm something just to say to get your radio station, your name, whatever it is, in the press. Especially when you have that level of magnitude that he already has. Why do it? When I first heard the report of, hey, Bergeron confronted Cassidy in front of the locker room, whatever, I'd be lying if I said my gut reaction was, this is a false report. Because at the end of the day, when you look at who Cassidy is, and I love Cassidy as a coach, eventually when you're a struggling team and you face a coach that has no issue calling out his players publicly in the locker room, whatever it may be, that naturally will cause some tension, and rightfully so. It's not saying that what it was said was right or wrong, but my gut reaction was I could believe it if they went forward, right? If this came out to be true, I don't necessarily think I would be shocked. The only aspect of it that I would be shocked about is kind of what Chris hinted on, and I'm glad he followed up on it and did a good job there of kind of being like, well, why didn't anyone respond? When you have Bergeron, the aspect of him doing it in front of everyone and kind of was like, I don't know. That seems more of like a Bergeron going to Cassidy and be like, listen, shut the fuck up because this kid's pressing, whatever, we live together, we fly, whatever it is. We're around each other all the time. I'm seeing a different side, whatever the argument was. The other quick thing, I've gone on record and said, we'll go back to the Mike Milbury thing. The Bergeron trade route should not be this. That can't happen. Okay, that's a conversation that if things continue down this road where they are, we suck. Bottom line, and I'll comment on the goaltending as well. Those goals are fucking terrible. The fact that Rask is still in the conversation shows that everyone in the locker room knows, wow, these two guys are just okay. They're not Tuukka Rask. They're not an elite goalie. Neither of them are. We screwed ourselves by overpaying for one of them, and now we have to pay the price because this dude, for some reason, has no idea how to not give up a fucking rebound, and it's baffling. But back to the Bergeron aspect of why I would still consider trading him. Same reason you trade Ray Bork back in the day. You got to let this dude get another cup. What he did for your city, what he does for your city, the heart that he has dumped into this organization and this city, if this is his last year, and because he's like, I'll play year by year at this point, so he's not really saying whether he wants to play past this year. So if this is it for him, the conversation needs to be like, okay, what can we do to get this guy a cup? Partly so, if you trade him, the rebuild's coming, right? We gotta rebuild here. We gotta get a second wave because 2015 screwed us big time, and I have zero faith in any of the management trying to draft. So I think Bergeron's an aspect that if you are all on the same page, you go to him. Patrice, what's your plan? What are you doing? We're out of playoff contention. We're not a Stanley Cup contender, whatever it may be. What do you think? And if he's like, yeah, I think this is it for me, like, okay, what you've given our city, what you've given us, we want to get you a Stanley Cup. We're going to look to move you to a cup contender to get you that opportunity because you deserve it. And that's how you keep it on the table. You don't trade him because of any other, if he's got more years, if he says, hey, I'm playing another 2 years, then immediately this conversation goes out the window. It's only if this is his last year that's on the table, I think.
So, Chris, you want to rebuttal really quick before we move on?
Yeah. So I guess my question would be, why is it really out of the realm for the Bruins to maybe trade Bergeron?
It shouldn't be. So that's my point.
And so like Diego, and there is no right or wrong answer to this one either. I think it's really just more of it's kind of just how you feel. It's that gut feeling. It's that, what you feel to like the core as like a Boston sports fan. I know like thinking about going and trading an icon, or in this case, the leader of the Bruins here in Patrice Bergeron, it'd be tough to kind of see and kind of swallow. But if the Bruins are out of it, regardless of his contractual, you know, obligations to the team ending at the end of the season, are you truly opposed to them maybe exploring it? And then if a right deal comes through, or do you think the person who's going to make the deal is the wrong person to make the deal and you don't think they're going to get the right value back?
Personally, for me, I'm worried about number one, fulfilling the role because this is your team captain. So now you're going to have to look for a new team captain to lead that locker room. Who is it going to be? Is it Tuukka Rask? Does Tuukka Rask stick around with the team? Is it Brad Marchand now?
I think it would either be Marchand or it's going to be McAvoy. It's going to be one of those two.
Is it McAvoy? Like, yeah. So now you have to figure out who your team captain is. Second of that, you need to bring in here somebody with the potential of actually being somebody that can assist and also be a scoring asset to the team. Taylor Hall was a great asset, has been so far okay this season. I wouldn't say that he's been a bust, but he hasn't been a boom this season, in my opinion. So you kind of need to dig deep a little bit into this replacement. And it might be several pieces that you might need to get back in return when trading somebody like Patrice Bergeron. Unless you're looking to trade for, I don't even know what the right trade here will look like, honestly, because never in my life would I think, I've been a Bruins fan, honestly, actually, since my days back in Colombia. I remember tuning my TV in Colombia into the English channel just to watch the Boston Bruins, and my mom being like, dude, you don't even know a lick of English. Never mind, should you understand that sport? I'm like, woman, just mind your business. I'll find a way to understand it, okay? So from right there, I've always fell in love with the Bruins. And when Patrice Bergeron came in, like, I'll be honest with you, at first I was like, who is this dude? But like the year after, I was just like, that is the dude. That is the dude that's gonna lead us to a Stanley Cup championship. And I mean, who can forget the many comebacks that we've had that he's led the way for? I mean, sorry, Ali, I know you're listening to this, but that Toronto Maple Leafs comeback is still as epic as if it happened yesterday. So for me personally, I don't know. I really don't know what the right move would look like unless, if you guys have some ideas in mind, some dark horse potentials that are there. But for me personally, I don't know. Unless you're trading for somebody like Mitch Marner and a couple assets from Toronto. I just don't see Mitch Marner being traded away from Toronto. That's not going to happen. I can tell you that.
Giant Mitch Marner fan. I think
I'm a giant Mitch Marner fan too, and I hate the Maple Leafs, but I'm like, how can I hate the guy when he's so goddamn good?
The last time that the Bruins had someone of the cachet that Patrice Bergeron and they traded was Joe Thornton, and they moved Thornton back in it was where they got Marco Sturm, Wayne Primo, and Brad Stewart.
Oh my God, Wayne! I forgot about Wayne. Holy crap!
And thinking about that move right now, and and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking it's not the return I'd want right now, because that return keeps you somewhat competitive with the roster. Like if they got players of that caliber, I think in this case here, I think the Bruins should try to get younger, get some talented players, that are going to be able to be with this team for the long term that can help them win multiple cups. I don't want to sound like Chaim Bloom, but maybe that's sustainability that I think the Bruins are lacking. Here's the only thing that to kind of close this up, that we're going to be kind of transitioning to the COVID piece in a second on the podcast. We're going to get to take a look at a lot of the prospects and a lot of these younger players that Sweeney has either signed or his program has developed. And we're going to get a really good idea as to what he has down in the program right now. Mm-hmm. And if these guys can't play, that's going to scare the absolute shit out of me when it comes to possibly having to make a move if they have to trade a Patrice Bergeron. Because that's like, all right, we just, right now we're getting to look at players that I don't even know who the hell they are. They could walk past us down the street. We're going to be like, who is that dude? You know what I mean? But like, it's probably the only positive and plus that we're going to get out of this COVID piece is we're we're going to get to see a lot of these players that are in this upper system to see what they have. These guys can't play. It's really going to question, if they have to make a move, if this guy's the right dude to make the move.
I mean, the only potential that I can see happening for Bergeron to get moved is a potential 3-team trade involving the Blackhawks and potentially the Vegas Golden Knights. And that would be moving Bergeron to Chicago for Patrick Kane to Boston, and Chicago acquiring a few prospects from the Golden Knights.
Ooh, I like Patrick Kane.
That's like the only ideal way of a move that I could see. But I don't know how much the Bruins are going to have to dig into their wallet to get Patrick Kane. And they're going to have to, because you're not just going to get Patrick Kane, just because you're trading Patrice Bergeron. It's a huge gap in age, and it's a huge gap in talent.
You trade captain for captain too.
Right. I think Chris is on the money. It's gonna be a young guy, young kid that I almost want to say, this is gonna be a bad comparison, but it's gonna be a Jake DeBrusk-esque guy back when he netted 29 goals. It's gonna be a guy that's young.
Hang on. We hate Jake DeBrusk here. We booed him.
I'm
being sarcastic. I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, read my last article. We'll talk about it then. Read my last article.
I loved it,
dude. I think he needs to stay. But I think it's going to be that type of ceiling player where I showed us something. Take a chance on it, because we'll have him for a few years. So it's going to be a guy that kind of, I think, is maybe just starting to scratch the surface of who he could be. And that's where the Bruins will take a chance on him, because we'll have him for 3, 4, 5 years down the road. It's not going to be a, Mitch Marner, Patrick Kane-esque deal. I don't think. I'd be shocked if it is. But it's going to be I think Chris is right. It's going to be a younger guy that they think could continue to grow and develop into a huge asset to the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to your Jake DeBrusk thing, I find our Boston Bruins fan base that booed him so inept that it's laughable. It's like they don't remember that Milan Lucic was also once a brand new aspect to the Bruins. And his first year, it was more about getting into scraps and scoring, but everybody loved the fighter, so let's give him a chance. But then the second year, the guy's blowing out goals like nothing. Everyone's like, oh yeah, no, maybe he should stick around. Really? No shit, Sherlock, because that's what happens when you actually give a player confidence and you absolutely trust him to be able to show his capabilities. That's exactly what's going to happen with Jake DeBrusk. This year, maybe he doesn't turn out to have a great season. It happens to every player. But who's to say that next season the guy isn't going to blow up the freaking nets off of their post? That's my end of rhetoric.
So with that being said, great segment. That was very, very informative. I loved every second of that. We got 2 more segments I want to get to before we send off, because Kevin's got plans he's got to get to. So COVID has been running rampant throughout all sports lately. NBA, NHL, NFL. We're going to focus on the NHL. It started with the Calgary Flames. It has spread to the Nashville Predators. It has spread all over the NHL right now. It has even hit the Bruins. As of right now, as they are playing now down 1-0 at the end of one. Currently, they are without Bergeron, Marchand, Smith, Swayman, Bleed, and as of 25 minutes before puck drop, Oscar Steen, who was just called up, is now in COVID protocols. With that being said, Kevin, I'm going to give it to you for a second. The top line today is the lines today are just absolutely absurd today. It's constructed of coil at that center. And then you have Hall and Martian at the wing. No, not Martian. I'm sorry. Hall and Pasternak at the wings. And you're playing 11 forwards today, basically. And you got 2 on the 4th line. That's it. You got Curtis Lazar and Carson Coleman on that 4th line. I mean, it's got, yeah. So you got today, they're playing, as we're recording, they're playing the Islanders. And then they go to Canada after this, where Canada's laws are very, very strict right now. Montreal is currently playing with no one in-house. And if you test positive, you're screwed in Canada because you're stuck up there for 14 days. So I want to break down really quickly this whole COVID incident, what's going on, and what it means for the Bruins, because the Bruins are literally screwed right now, and they were struggling as it was.
Yeah, they're you try to take the positive out of something, in a situation like this, it's asinine that these games are being played. And if this continues, there's zero shot they should allow the Bruins to go up to Canada. I heard it, I think 98.5 was interviewing Forbort, and he was kind of like, yeah, I think, we've been given the okay to drive back, but, it's kind of, they're all left in the dark, really. And they said it. There's a chance that these guys could get stuck up in Canada for Christmas. If you think about it, there's 1 or 2 of these guys gets test positive while they're up there. They're in trouble. So there's a chance a couple of them could get stuck up there. I think if this just continues, you got to cancel the game, man. I know the NHL doesn't want to do it, but there's things that are bigger than hockey right now. And if this continues, the NHL needs to look at possibly, shutting a couple teams down for a little bit. Let them get their shit together and reassess. And I know they don't want to do that, and whatever it may be, but they may not have a choice. And back to that first line, kind of interested in the see. Let's see what happens with that first line tonight. Hall with Pasta. Is that something in the future where it's shaken up? Maybe they move Pasta in the second. I don't know. Something's got to kind of invigorate these guys, and they got some issues they need to find a solution for, and it might very well be breaking up that perfection line.
Yep.
But so we'll see how it plays out. I think Hall played on the first line.
During Martian's suspension.
And he played pretty well. I thought he went back to the Taylor Hall of old, and it was kind of like, oh, maybe this is something. But the second, third, and fourth lines, you can't beat good teams when those are you're rolling out 11 forwards and your bottom 6 guys are who they are right now.
So I'll toss it up to Chris now really quick, because we talked about it before we came on, and he talked about how he thinks that NHL needs to shut down for a week. And now you got the Olympic break coming up that most likely isn't going to be for the Olympics now. It does not appear that any of these NHL players want to go to the Olympics now due to the COVID protocols that is going to be in China. You're going to have to miss 2 to 3 weeks afterwards, at least. So go ahead, Chris. And what was your thing before we talked about before the show?
I just think that the NHL is just going to try to figure this out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, I kind of joked with you saying it's almost easier to tweet who doesn't have COVID or isn't in the COVID protocol than it is now to all the players that are lining up that are on this list. And again, even if they were to shut down for a week, obviously the nature of the beast that this latest strain is still going to be there. But it feels like it's out of control. maybe I'm wrong with that, but it just feels like it's out of control. If I'm these players too, as much as I'd love to play in the Olympic Games and you work, so hard at your craft to get the opportunity to go and represent the country, that you love and do something that very few people are ever going to get to do in their life. I think that I have to, like, if I'm them, I got to really take a strong, hard look, and maybe I sit it out, because it really feels like that this is out of control. And selfishly, as a Bruins fan, I don't want to see any more of these players, lose time to COVID, because of, obviously, we want to see our team be competitive on the ice. Obviously, I say that I want the players to not be sick and all that other stuff. I think that should be applied, but yeah, I just think it's so hard now, because especially now with this latest strain, and it's clearly aggressive and it's spreading like wildfire. I think, you have to make a serious decision. And if it was up to me, I think, one, don't go now. And two, I just think that the league has to put something together, or has to have some sort of contingency coming up, like, not that I want us to go back to not having fans in the crowd, but, does it help matters? These players are still going to do their thing outside of hockey.
Yep.
Like, we can't go back to what we were last year. Like, that's not beneficial for society. It's, that's not going to do us any good. But you'd have to think that we have now almost 2 years of data, and to put together, a way to kind of help be in a better position with dealing with COVID. Right now, I'm concerned, because it feels like we're heading in a direction that we're going to get a Woj bomb like tweet, and it says that the NHL is going to cancel through the rest of the Christmas season, and they're going to reconvene the first week of January. Like, to me, that doesn't feel out of the realm. And I'm kind of wondering, does that make a lot of sense? And I kind of think it might.
Yeah.
Diego, go ahead. Before we move on, I want your opinion on this too, while you're on with us.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think for me personally, taking a step back before even a contingency plan should have been in place. We were well aware that there was a new variant developing in South Africa. We were aware of that at least 3 weeks in advance. Why there wasn't a contingency plan put together in terms of productivity by any of the leagues, not just the NHL, but the NFL and other leagues, including one of the major leagues in Europe, the Champions League and the Premier League, in terms of soccer as well. It baffles me, especially as Chris mentioned, we have almost 2 years worth of data. You think that if a new variant is developing, you shouldn't be proactive in handling that? That's my first question. I think secondary to that, finance in itself will figure itself out as time goes by. The health of your players does not figure itself out as time goes by. It's either you put them at risk or they dodge the bullet. We all saw what happened last year, where, some players had it worse than others. We saw the financial risk that a lot of organizations took. And I'm not sure that a following year should be followed up with another financial risks to be taken because of the lack of productivity. Therefore, I think what would be beneficial for the NHL would be to shut down the league for 2 weeks, allowing everybody and their choice, making it their choice, but educating them in the correct manner, using independent sources, because at this day and age, you just can't rely on media anymore. You just can't. Using independent studies and independent sources that can either promote the vaccine booster, or that can educate these people to make the decision that they need to make in order to protect their health and prioritize it. I respect players who do not want to get the vaccine because of their motives. I respect players that want to get the vaccine and want to be fully covered. So I think educating the players, educating the league, and being able to offer that opportunity to have 2 weeks to make a decision and be proactive about it will really be able to contain this variant from spreading like wildfire through this whole entire league. Secondary to that, I think the NHL should consider reducing capacity a little bit instead of fully, going to full 100% capacity. I would say it would be proactive for them to reduce it down to 65% to allow for a better containment of all this spread altogether. And third to that, I mean, you got to stop thinking about the financial hit that it's going to cost you to suspend one game. It's either the players come first and you give them that comfort that they come first, or you lose in this league. I mean, we've had plenty of lockouts in this league. You would learn that by now the players want to feel like a priority, and you're not making them feel like a priority whatsoever at this point. So those are my three things that I can think of. I mean, I'm no health expert, I'm no science expert, but if the data is there and we've gone through about almost 2 years of this, productivity, just common sense altogether. It's like, it's like when you are diagnosed, like I'll say this, like, for example, I was diagnosed with leukemia at an early age, and there was not a second ounce on me that was wondering, oh, should I hold off for this treatment? No, in me, it was whatever will get me cured. I'm down for it. I'm down for it. It's either life or death for me. I know that leukemia is not the same as COVID, or COVID the same as leukemia, but it's just that aspect. It's that aspect of prioritizing people's health.
Yeah, and I think going really quick, I think they said 97% is vaccinated apparently in the NHL alone. That doesn't count that does not count AHL or ECHL or any of that stuff, but it's definitely a topic we could get into for a full podcast. It's just, this whole situation is just bizarre, and everything going down with it is just bizarre. I think they're up to 28 now with the Calgary Flames. It's just a scary situation. But that being said, this is our last show of the year. We will be back obviously in 2022, but next couple of weeks we're going to enjoy our time with our families, and we're going to enjoy ringing out this hell of a year. And by hell of a year, I mean this year of hell. Not as bad as 2020, but it was still a year of hell. But I want to look ahead to 2022 for a second. And by that, I want to give our New Year's resolutions for the Bruins. We'll just go around, and we'll start with Diego, since he is our guest. Just give us what you think your New Year's resolution is this year, Diego, and for the Bruins, and what could possibly be coming up in the future for this team.
In terms of New Year resolution, I want them to find that chemistry. There's something or somebody triggering that chemistry to be tested this year. Overall, it is a good core. It's a young core at heart. They're fast. They're well developed. I don't think we really need any new players altogether on the team. Could we potentially benefit from some players? Absolutely. The more the merrier. But I think my New Year resolution would be for Bruce Cassidy to find something that will inspire this team to get that chemistry going and let them flourish. Because when this team is flourishing, the sky is the limit. When this team isn't in sync and with rhythm, I mean, this is what happens. I mean, right now you're losing 2-0 to the Islanders as of 30 seconds ago.
Yes.
So,
Chris, I'll send it up to you for your New Year's resolution, which will probably be bad, but let's see what it is. You've been pretty good on your hot takes, so let's see if your resolution hot take will come true here.
Yeah, I need the Boston Bruins as a whole to start to play better than 500 hockey. But with that, I'd like for them to get consistent goaltending and coming into next year. I would like to see the consistency with that. Unfortunately, I say that, and there's going to be a, knuckle puck thrown in the middle of all that with bringing back Tuukka. So that's going to add a whole new ripple effect into this, tumultuous Bruins season right now that's kind of going on between the COVID piece and the bad play and now the front office and everything else. So I just want to see consistent goaltending. And then right after that, really just the defense, just see the defense start to put together consistent play themselves. But if I stick to one, consistent goaltending.
Consistent goaltending. Okay. What about you there, Kevin, down below? I want to, I'll let you be the last one, then we'll close this out so you can go party hard for your Christmas office party.
I don't even know if I want to go over there though, it's, but anyways, yeah, I think, to keep it simple, and these two had, they were kind of right on the money anyways with what they were saying, is find out who you are, find out who you are as a team, finding the chemistry, playing consistently. That all kind of falls into what I mean of just, what's your identity? What's your, what do you want to be as a team? And unfortunately, I do think moves need to be made, and I don't know if it's bringing in more defensemen, try to get another top six guy in here. If Tuukka comes back, you would imagine, maybe there's a move at goaltender. There could be a lot of things, but I think at the current pace of it, you need to shake something up. And a lot of times a trade does do that. And you can't really trade for or trade someone out until you know what you're trying to establish yourself as a team, and again, I'm not, I've gone on record 100 times saying this, they're not the big bad Bruins anymore. We're small. We found that out against Vegas. Vegas pushed us around. So is that the team we want to be? Do we want to be the fast, skilled team like everyone else in the NHL? Or do we kind of want to get, one or two maybe big bodies in here that can clear people out of the front of the net? It's too bad we can't get a guy like Zdeno Chara, but, that's a different conversation. So, it's find out who you are, find out what your identity is. Use this time to really think about what you want to do as a team and who you want to be, and come into this new year and, get after it. You're still in the thick of it. You're right in the middle. I think you're 12 points back from first place in their division. So, you're in the thick of it at the moment, but, if you don't find out who you are, that can quickly change in a bad way.
Well, guys, thank you, Diego. Thank you for joining us today. We will have
Thank
you
for
on
having
again.
me.
We will
Thank
have
you
you
for
on
having
again for sure for another rant. I'm sure there'll be something else coming up here soon that will get you going. But like I said, last episode of 2021, and we hope for big things coming into 2022 with Couch Guys Sports itself. And of course, with this podcast. If it wasn't for Diego and Al, I would not have been here to start this podcast. So thank you to you guys. Thank you to Chris and Kevin for, obviously joining me for this podcast every week or whenever we can, because we all have busy jobs. But we're hoping next year we're going to try to go up every Tuesday. We will get a more consistent schedule. And like I said, this is Shorthanded Takes, a Couch Guys Sports podcast brought to you by Shocked Energy and Exogun, of course. Once again, go to shockedenergy.com and use the promo code CGSN today for 10% off your order. Everyone have a happy new year, and we will see you in 2022.